11 o'clock hard stop work.
Good morning, everyone. Starrick Smith, Hungry Black Man here.
Chill, Tracy. How
And
about nothing else?
and we have a very engaging show today. Obviously, we're going to get started with our Karen report, but today's Karen report actually includes a bill report. Uh, so we are going to get started with that. Got a great show today. Topics include okay, here we go. I don't know. I don't know what this guy's problem was, but it was something serious. So we're gonna start with the guy who is in a Walmart.
Where's the mall? Where's this like Walmart behind the scenes camps?
I
That's
mean,
why I don't go to Walmart. That's exactly why.
so let's get started with that. This guy was in a Walmart losing his shit because he did not want to wear a mask, and he just goes bananas.
I saw that. I don't know where, but I saw that yesterday.
And he's in Florida, of course.
Of course.
So let's go to that in a second.
You said right. When there's a guy who's called the Bob report. I don't know any black men named Bob. Or they go by Bob.
No, none.
Right? My continuing ode to Aunt Jemima, which will be over today because I'm going back to the hair salon.
All right, guys. Yeah,
I am. But you gotta wear a mask, bro. But you gotta wear a mask, bro.
What was this guy's problem?
Bro, these folks is tripping, bro. Hey, sir, everybody got on masks, man. Everybody got on masks, man. You want a mask, man? I got some. Funny, bro. Poor thing, man. Look, he got a look at this, bro.
Black people make the best commentators.
Right.
All right, so this one is really crazy. This is a Karen who was driving, cuts a guy off, flips him off, calls him a nigger, and she has a total breakdown. Pretty much saying he's attacking her, and she comes to the realization that her life can be over now, right? And it's such a great feeling. It's such a great feeling to have them to be in fear of their lives being over for doing hate crimes. It's such a wonderful feeling. I mean, he's literally losing her shit. This is crazy. And the guy who it's just hilarious. All right, let me play that for you guys. We'll get started with our conversation. But we got to do our Karen reports. All right, here we go.
Ma'am, Karen, are you okay? Explain to me calmly. I'm not attacking you. Ma'am, you flicked me off. So, I'm not sure. I just think this is just disgusting. And I'm going to stay here until either everyone disperses or the police get called. Because what I'm not going to let happen is like something gets said that perspired. And I know this lady in the green saw it. She was actually down the street. And she walked out. She saw her like brake check me. And she saw the whole thing and flipped me off. So it's not like, he's literally rubbing her back. I'm sorry. Oh no, it's okay. You just didn't know what was going on. But I felt very But this is what's happening. These three people saw her. She brake checked me. She flicked me off and she called me a nigger. And I followed her home. And then when I got my phone out, she starts doing the Karen. Right then, like, really don't know what's going on. But then, like, she's really getting a back rub. But she called me in there, flicked me off, and gave me a brake check. And I have to say,
not gonna have back rub. I'm trying to get somebody to come and get her.
she looks like she broke down into chocolate. Like that's what they do. No,
She ran up on her.
yeah. I know. Did you see?
I saw her walking down the block when she. Man, did you see how fast she backed it up?
She didn't even. I have it on Instagram. She literally ran up on me, and I stopped my car. She was like, and I was like, what the hell? And she backed.
So she was mad aggressive.
That's when I was like, no, I'm not having it. I was like, I'm not having it. I whipped my little car around, and I was like, Then I know that's what you heard. Ma'am, and I was like, ma'am, why'd you do that? And then she started, don't call me Karen. I don't understand why I can't just drive, and then if there's road rage or if there's some type of disagreement, ma'am, why you saw her?
I saw her.
She came up like I was leaving. She had already brake checked me, and she already flipped me off and said, and I was driving away, and she followed me. Did she not?
Oh my God.
You know how many Black Lives Matter marches I've gone to. It doesn't matter if it's coming back when you're by yourself.
Yeah, sorry for I'll turn this off so she feels comfortable.
That is. That must be her car.
Yeah, that's her. He's confronting her for calling.
You're not gonna sit there.
Karen?
You don't touch me. Do not touch me. You flipped me off. I don't care. Why did you flip me off? Karen. Ma'am, don't touch me. Do not touch me. Did you
That's right. Do not come near me.
Flip me off. Why did I get flipped off? Ma'am, Karen, are you okay? Can you explain to me calmly? I'm not attacking you. Ma'am, you flicked me off. Guys, this is her license plate number. She lives here. This is her address. Karen, you flipped me off.
Yes, I'm here for it. Oh. Girl, it's too late. Karen, it is way too late.
Guys, she flipped me off. She literally flipped me off, and then she tried to come home. She's a Karen. Am I attacking her? Ma'am, I'm not attacking you. You thought you could get away with it. You didn't think I would find you.
This is the best ever. I get more annoyed. I know that's right. He was even at some point trying to help her, but she was too far in her act. I know that's right, Dandria. Listen to her for Americans all the time. No, yes, K.E.
Ma'am, why are you sitting here crying? What have I done to you?
Ma'am,
what have I done to you? So you can go around the city and flip people off and cut me off. So you didn't flip me off. Ma'am, I can talk.
Exactly, Trevor.
You know her. You cannot sit. She literally flipped me off. She cut me off. I have it on camera.
This is not a mental health issue, Kier.
Put it on my Instagram. And then I got on my car. I was like, man, why are you following me? Why? She literally. So then I followed her.
Okay.
And I said, man, why are you being harassing me? Man, listen about what?
I can't even hear what she said.
All right. She just goes on this rant.
So when I got out of my car, so why are you driving aggressively, flicking people off?
Mackenzie, I just saw Mackenzie.
Why are we here? So I spend my day. She literally, I'm gonna go home, but she literally.
He's like, I've had enough of this for the day.
I'm not even doing
She's out of her mind.
I'm trying to.
She said, I'm not a Karen.
You saw it. I'm gonna walk away. Did you see her do it? I'm gonna walk away. I know,
Jesus Christ.
Because now she's playing a victim when she victimized me. She victimized me.
All right. That's enough of that. So this woman, you know, when you go to the lynching museum, when you go to the lynching museum in Alabama, you see that white women were the cause of over 80% of all the lynchings with the lies. And when you look at this woman act like this, you automatically know, my God, here we are, 60 years ago, that black man would have been hung.
Yeah.
That black man would have been hung. And watching her break down like that and having her just sully in her bad judgment is so rewarding for me. That my ancestors are just laughing. They are loving every fucking second of this. And that white woman in Central Park, her life being ruined, that warmed my heart.
Yeah,
all their lives being ruined warmed my fucking heart, because they have done this to us for over 300 years.
Yep.
Lies, fake tears.
Get it? Like, what is it? At what point? Like, I don't think that it'll ever stop. Star X, like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have, like, you have been you've been the attacker for 400 years. It's like, we have forgiven you everything. We're just trying to go about and live our damn lives. I want, like James Baldwin said, I just want to be left alone. But still, this man is driving along in his car, and she's got to do, and that has happened to me. I can't tell you how many times. And I'm like, girl, bye. Girl, bye. You don't want it from me.
Someone said white people aren't used to being held accountable for their racist acts. She's playing victim because that's where her power lies. She knows she will be believed over a black man. And that's what the power of the phone does. The power of the camera.
Thank you.
That's enough of that, right? Yeah. And so I love that. All right. Now our Uncle Tom report is actually going to be reported by a white man, Stephen Colbert, who's hilarious. And so this black person was ejected from a Trump rally, and he was a Trump supporter. So we're going to play that, and then we're going to get in our conversation.
Give it up for John Baptiste and stay human.
I love John Baptiste.
Still got it, baby. Folks. I got that hooked up.
Yeah,
folks, despite the FBI mail of Friday, Hillary Clinton still leads in almost every poll. So Donald Trump needs every vote.
My mistake, guys.
I was about to say, I'm sorry.
No, that's my mistake. I put the wrong one up, and now I can't find the other one. Anyway, we're going to get into today's conversation. So I'm going to also let you guys know, we talked about yesterday letting you know who was running for what office. And so if you have family in the following states, please encourage them to vote for these Southern senatorial candidates who are running. And so currently in the Senate, we have Senator Cory Booker, Tim Scott, and Kamala Harris.
Can you put it up on the screen so people can see it? And I can see it.
1 second.
Good morning, Lynette. Lanita, Tasha, Suzanne, Anthony, welcome. I think we got to bring Anthony on on camera one more night. Like, offer him a cup of coffee and, come on by. White women as slave owners. Well, white women.
All right, guys.
No, Dandria, was it new? Is it new? Starks, Dandria said, did you see Luther Campbell's live about politics and who's running for what?
We can definitely do that in a second. If you wanna inbox me, we'll play it. So here, guys, this is who is running for what. So you have the current right here, the current senators who are serving. 3 black senators, one from California, she's a Democrat, Kamala Harris, one from New Jersey, Democrat Cory Booker, and a waste of a seat, Tim Scott from South Carolina. Now you have Mississippi, former Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Etzby, South Carolina, former South Carolina Democratic Party Chair, Jamie Harrison, Kentucky, who is the vote is today. And the Republicans have done some really fuck shit and closed a bunch of voting precincts stating coronavirus. So they're trying to influence that vote. But Charles Booker is running for his primary seat today. So we have him in our prayers, hoping that he wins. And I'm sorry?
No, I said amen.
And then in Georgia, we have Reverend Raphael Warnock, who gave the eulogy at the private funeral service for Rashad Brooks. Warnock is the senior pastor at Ebenezer Church, where Dr. Martin Luther King was pastor. And then we have State Senator Royce West running in Texas. And in Michigan, businessman and veteran John James is running as a Republican. All right. So these are the percentages of black residents in the states. So if Kentucky goes black, that's a huge statement because Kentucky's only 8% black. I think that
we need to go rescue the people from Kentucky and bring them to Florida. Like, y'all it's not enough for y'all. Y'all need to just come on to Florida.
Literally.
Back up and come with us.
It says Tennessee and Florida are 17% black. That's sizable. And we don't understand our power in Florida. We are literally the swing vote.
We are up. Yeah. Florida A is always the deciding factor. And yeah, black folks, I mean, I don't know. Like, what would you say for something that we fought and continue to fight for, like, rights? Why is it something that we neglect? Like, we really have to get out and beg people to go vote. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not exactly understanding of that. It was different. It was different for Obama. There was you didn't have to go through that. I had to drive back to Georgia in order because I was a resident of Georgia at the time to vote for Obama. And I did it. Turned right back around and came back to Florida. Get me out of Kentucky. Yes, girl. Sharia. Listen, we need to start a GoFundMe. Get Sharia out of Kentucky.
Sharia, it's funny. We're gonna actually be in Kentucky next week. We were planning on going this week for to support the senatorial candidate in his primary, but I have a stomach virus or something that happening, so I cannot be on the road right now.
Jesus no.
Yeah, I don't. It's anyway. I'm not even gonna. I was trying to backtrack to see what I ate, but I've been eating so much stuff that maybe my body just was like, this is too much going on. All right, so Dandria shared the video.
You can just bring Sharia back with you. We save it. And I'm already dressed like Harriet Tubman, so I'll.
Oh God, this is too long. He's talking for an hour. Luke's talking for an hour.
Oh, we know. So wait, Dandria, where was the meat of that? Do you remember? Like maybe it was in the beginning or the end or what? That was too funny.
Yeah, I'll watch it and we'll I'll watch it. I mean, who's Luke supporting?
Well, his track record has not been good lately. but the blacks are black as hell. And yes, take me, I love Florida.
But what's crazy? South Florida has a very strong black identity. And people don't realize that until you travel outside of Florida, and then you realize, like, man, Florida's really like we're really black. Like, we don't really play that game. I mean, it's interesting. So our conversation today was going to be about.
I think riots help that too. I'm sorry, sidebar.
They do.
Have had riots. Blackity black after that. Detroit.
So we talked about yesterday briefly about interracial dating and the interracial marriages. I wanted to do something that was a bit more empirical and look at just the habits of who's interracially dating and who isn't. And it turns out that Black men are the number one group that chooses to interracial date out of every other group in the United States. And I wanted to show you guys that graphic because it was a bit concerning to me. I was very interested in seeing why this is the case.
It's quite concerning.
Right. So let's put this graphic up that was done by the Pew Research Center that shows Black men are twice as likely as Black women to intermarry. And so, as you can see, that graphic is very, very interesting that 24% of Black men and it's 12% of Black women. Black women do not want to marry outside of their race.
Nope.
Very interesting. And so I think that's the basis of the conversation. And then you also saw a gender gap of intermarriage of those with higher degrees. It was very, very, very interesting that the more educated Black men tend to be, the more likely they are to hire to marry white women, and marry outside of their race.
Right.
So that was also interesting. And then there is an increase in the amount of interracial marriages among Black people as opposed to other races, especially when it comes to them having education. So that was something that was also very, very interesting. And I have that infographic up for you guys as well. So let's make that bigger. Right. So we have high school or less, you're at 17%. Some college, you're at 24%. A bachelor's degree, Black men are 30% more likely to marry outside of their race. So this is very depressing because what it says is when you're when you're not necessarily successful, you're more than likely to impregnate and be with a Black woman. And when you get some money or you get some education, then you go find yourself a non-Black woman.
And that's why there's so many single Black females and single.
So you got 13% of Black women who marry outside of their race with a college degree. That's a very low number.
Not even close.
And then the last is that there's a dramatic increase in intermarriages for Blacks and whites in particular. We tend to marry white people. When we do marry outside of the race for some reason, we tend to marry white people. And that's the percentage. That's where we are. So as you can see.
Oh, Lanita, thank you. Thank you. Lanita, I was just about to say that. And right. I have seen so many, I don't know if it's on your radar, people, or if you pay attention, but there are so many commercials with Black gay men for like all of those, drugs for Oh my God, I'm sorry. What is it? It's escaping me right now. But anyway, all of those, drugs for AIDS or AIDS, symptomatic. And there are a lot of commercials for, like Wayfair and like gas, stations and black men and white women. And I'm like, and you rarely, every blue moon, you'll see one. What is the one that stands out to me? Um, it's It's one
Truvada?
about travel. Which one?
Truvada?
No. There's another one about travel, and the woman is a woman that looks sort of like Viola Davis, and she's in a tub, and the dog comes to the tub, and then it shows the rest of her family, and it's a white man that looks like he used to be her college professor or something.
Cheerios?
And that's her husband, huh?
Someone said the Cheerios commercial.
It might be. It's so many of them. But the one thing I will say is that it's typically when you see a black woman and a white man, to me they almost always look mismatched. Like that sister would not have chosen that man, or maybe I don't. Who knows? But I have noticed an extreme increase in black men and white women in commercials with with the interracial kids.
Well, I mean, what's really interesting is the fact that, interracial marriage in this nation has only been legal since 1967. And it's interesting, I mean, because that was Loving. That was a Supreme Court case with Loving. And, a lot of folks actually celebrate Loving Day because of the court ruling that, you can't, that the state cannot infringe on someone's right to marry. However, I think that there is a very interesting amount of research that should be done on why Black men, when they become educated or their socioeconomic status increases, chooses to marry outside of their race. I think that
Revenge.
I'm sorry.
Do you think it's revenge?
No. I think that if you did a serious study, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I think that a lot of it is self-hate. I think a lot of it is self-hate. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the athletes, you got to think about this. Like most athletes, well, and it's I think it's self-hate, and I think it's I think if they did a study, I think people who are, I just think it's self-hate. I think that they feel that it gives them more of an acceptance, more of an appeal. It gives them more of a status in this racist society. I think that maybe they want their kids to be biracial. And that's rooted in self-hate. I think that Black people finding the beauty in interracial kids and mixed kids is so demoralizing. And just, I mean, I just love the beauty of my people. There's just nothing about someone with green eyes and blonde hair, and it's not that it's not attractive. It's just not something that's desirable for me. I'm not someone that's like, oh, I need to have this biracial child. For me, it would be hard for me because having a biracial child, the child looks too white or too non-Black, it'll be difficult for me as a father, to be honest with you, because when you have a child, the connection is that you see a reflection of yourself, and then when it's not your biological child, the reflection has to be a bond, right? The bond of you raising this child, and so you see a reflection of yourself in their actions. And I tell my nephews that all the time. I'm raising them, and when they get me stressed out at times, it is very hard for me to motivate myself if they're acting out of their character or acting out of what they were taught, because the thing that makes parents diminish their anger is that they see themselves. And that's when you see those moms that may mistreat their children when they look like the father, because you aren't showing a reflection of the mother. You're looking like that dad. So now you're acting crazy and you're looking like the father that's not there, and that's a source of anger. So I mean, it's really interesting Someone said white women may be easier to deal with. Oh, I definitely disagree with that. White women, I disagree with that. I think that when you have a black mother, uh, then you have a good relationship with your mother. That's something that's also interesting. I think when they do the study, they'll show most of the black men who are marrying interracially may not have had fathers in their lives. Because when you see the example of a black relationship, a mother and a father, and you're raised in that household, you tend to marry in your race because it's a great example. It's like how what's his name, that's married to Sierra, Russell Wilson.
Awesome.
How he came to his senses and found Sierra. But he has two black parents, and they were in the civil rights movement. And so I can only imagine that the sort of stress or pressure that he would receive from some of his aunts and uncles and family members. Maybe his parents weren't so keen on it, but definitely the pressure from outside forces might have influenced him, to make sure that, as he progressed in his offspring, keeps the wealth in the family. And that's my concern. I don't care. I wish it was flipped. I wish it was the majority of non-educated and low socioeconomic men were marrying non-blacks instead of the educated and high income blacks marrying non-blacks. I wish it was flipped. Because if you got a situation where black men who are educated and who have higher socioeconomic statuses are marrying white women, that means that more wealth is leaving our people. Someone said, this goes back to what I was talking about yesterday, dealing with the dynamics of living outside your neighborhood and college choice, plus neuro-linguistic programming which shows that display black men and white men with black women, shows that highlight black women in a negative light as being loud, problematic, and confrontational. Black men are degrading, drug dealing, entitled boys. We have to change that narrative with our own media, self-race at home. Someone said they are targeting the young generation. If you look, there are memes going around that black women can't handle successful black men.
Well, I think to part of what I Miss Andrea was saying, that I will say in my profession over the years, there is an inordinate amount of black men that marry white women. And from what I see, white women are a status symbol. Like, I have made it now. I got a white woman. Yeah. And that's not the case for everyone, but that does seem to be that trophy status. Like, athletes had it first, and then, artists, it just like became a thing. Now, I will tell you, there's several, I've come across several interracial relationships that I admire, like Charlie Wilson and his wife. When I tell you, this is a perfect example. Ladies, when Charlie Wilson was out on the ziggity boom doing crack, living in garbage cans, this white woman, well, actually, I take it back, she's not white, she's Asian-ish. Maybe her mother was Asian and her father was white. I don't know. She's mixed Asian. And she literally pulled him out of a garbage can, took him home, cleaned him up, took care of him, got him off drugs. And in her, in our interview, she said, it was important to her, and it was part of her lineage to then help him become head of household again. So she took her money, bought a home, put it in his name, and helped him, get back in the business. She represented him. She got him gigs. She got him back to life. And to this day, it is honestly one of the most beautiful relationships that I've seen between two people. And I thought to myself when I was interviewing them, would a sister have done that? Right? She may have wanted to, but would her family, have agreed, girl, you better, that nigga is washed up, it's over, leave him in that damn garbage can and keep it going. And I think that in some cases, particularly in that case, she offered him a lot of grace where somebody else would have left him in that garbage can. So I will ask as Janae, straight out the garbage can. Well, a big dumpster, like be in the back of a building that you could live in for a couple of days. I'm just saying, it was that. So, ladies, I'm asking you if there was someone that you were in love with at one point who, fell on hard times and drug addiction and this, that, and other, and you found him in a garbage can. Would you take him in? Would you clean him up, get him together, and take him back? Wow, she did way more than I would have done, not gonna lie. Exactly. As she was telling her story, I'm like, yeah, God love you. Because I don't know that I would have done it. I might have called his family, got him some help or whatever, but I don't know if I would have taken him back. And I think that a lot of times, women of other races are more apt to do that. So, Black families wow, they're moving so fast. I can't see. Black families in slavery were strong, conquer, and divide. Black male, Black female. Yes, that is definitely true. She made a comment that caused me to walk away after 3 weeks of dating. Oh, Michael, you were dating a white woman, I take it. Misty Jones said no. Andrea said, yes, I have done that all my life. Clean up. I don't want to say taking men out of garbage cans, but having to clean up a man to get him back up to par. He was in a real garbage can. Charlie Wilson was a crackhead. And literally, he was, and he's given his testimony several times on stage. I don't think he did it at Jasmine Gardens, but oh yeah, he lost everything. And had it not been for her, he would have been just another tragic story that we know. But again, I offer that. I don't think his mama didn't do it, his sister didn't do it, nobody did it. And this, So Andrea said, I have done that all my life. Dated them or just helped men get back up? I'm not exactly sure what she meant by that. Hey, Tina Reardon. Yes, I would have. I look at Black men as kings. Amen. They knew each other before, yes. She knew him before. And when he got on drugs, she was like, I can't do this. And she had to go on with her life, And then fast forward, I think she said one of their mutual friends was like, Charlie's in a bad place. Maybe you can help him. And that's how she started, looking for him. And yes, found him in a garbage can. But
you know what's crazy, Jill? So that narrative is what Black women do and pass by. And when they're non-Black women, they get praised for it. Yeah. And I think that that's part of the problem. The fact that we don't look at the fact that Black men are flawed in so many ways. And I know that because I'm a Black man, and I know being successful and being educated and having a decent economic situation and all that good stuff. I only date Black women. And I choose to only date Black women because there is a level of understanding. And I think Mike said it. He said that he played professional sports. He was a professional athlete. And he came from, I'll read his comment. He said, I played professional sports, owned a successful business for many years. I come from an interracial family, but have only attempted to date white once before. And then he goes, she made a comment that caused me to walk away after 3 weeks of dating. And I think that that's where we are seeing the problem. The fact is that there's not going to be anyone to understand you like a Black woman. It's just not. And for me, that was very hard for me, because when you are a Black male and when you're a Black nerd, it's very difficult to attract a Black woman in the sense of competing with what they view, which a lot of Black women view as alpha males, stereotypical Black male, right? You have to have a certain swag, you have to have a certain walk, you have to have a certain whatever. And that never got me upset. And a lot of my Black male friends who were nerds or successful, they did date white women and they married them because they felt more comfortable. Because what happens is that if your culture is of a culture that's not stereotypically Black, you build a tribe around that culture. And so now it's beneficial because you have a situation where you find a lot of Black women who are like you, Black women who like the same things that you like. And that's been the biggest problem with me when I date, is that I like things that, you know, I mean, are really outside of the realms of what the traditional Black woman in Miami would enjoy. So for instance, I went to this is the truth. Every woman I've ever dated, like, they would get furious at the music choices that I have. And I would take them to a Persian classical music performance and they would fall asleep. And I would go to different Comic-Con conventions and they wouldn't want to dress up, or they didn't want to participate in the things that I found rewarding to me.
So why is it that you date people that are so different than you?
Well,
when we date is because we meet somebody in a common space that we're doing something common together and we go, oh, we should, hook up.
So that goes back to what the issue is, right? Like, my common spaces were not Black when I was younger, right? Because of my activities. There weren't a lot of Black people in the spaces that I was in. And so because my attraction was to Black women, it became very difficult. So when I would go into spaces where there were Black women, which were, the BET, the Enterprise golf tournaments, the Urban League conferences, the Congressional Black Caucus conferences, those were my circles. And that's where I would find women, and I would approach them. And initially they would, I would get their number and we would talk and we would have great conversation. And then once the relationship kind of moved on, it was like, we didn't have a lot in common. And so the thing that we did have in common was that they always saw some form of worth that I would present to them that was bigger than just some, superficial thing, and they would stay around, And so that was something that I think that is important, that as a Black man, like, you don't have to use that as an excuse that you're not around Black women and that's why you don't date Black women. There are so many beautiful Black women that are available and that are single. But what I will say is that I understand how hard it is to be a Black woman. So I don't ever feel any type of way about when I do get either rejected or they're looking for something, because, like, people joke around and say, you want a Russell Wilson, but you want a future that has Russell Wilson's behavior. And so that, in many respects, is, I'm sorry.
No, you said you want to. Yeah, you're right. I'm just signifying that. Yep, that's exactly what we want.
And so that's why.
I want you to be Russell in the street, and I want you to be Future in the bed.
Right.
Exactly what
so the thing is that I think that level of patience that Black women have for the futures, they don't have for the Russells. So they'll have a lot of patience. They have a lot of patience for a future, right? And if, like, think about it, Future, you're a Black, he gets Black women like crazy. He pulls them like crazy. I mean, for these Black women to continuously have babies from this guy and know that he is not a good father in the sense of being there for his child. I mean, he said it in an interview, like, pretty much saying, like,
I said, a lot of times we think we can, we get attracted to guys that we can fix. He just needs the love of a good woman. He'd be all right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just said that Black women will take more time to fix a future than a Russell Wilson. She's gonna call, oh man, this Nick, he's lame and blah blah blah, and she's gonna move on because what Future provides is something that is more excitable, something that may be more engaging. And so now working on those problems for a Black woman becomes a lot easier than working with a Black man that has problems that may be on an intellectual level that requires a give and take that's not the norm of like building and constructing this black man, because it's almost a joy for a black woman to be a part of that, like saying that I am a part of building him to be this better person. I mean, that's just the way that I've experienced it. Like, because
yeah. Oh yeah, Zan said, yeah, projects. I don't know. I mean, I think once you get that's interesting. I think once you get past a certain age, and it's usually about 35, that you realize, okay, that was kind of fun. These fix-a-man issues was kind of fun for a while, but I'm in the height of my career and I'm doing the most, or I've got these children, and I can't have somebody that I got to fix and raise kids and be successful at my job and still keep it all together. You know what I'm saying? And I think that I married a black woman with a huge comic book collection. All right, Mackenzie Moore. I like that. Yeah, I think, and that's when we really start to get.
I love it at your name.
Your sisters and girl cousins to fight that bitch. Well, that part. Oh God. That's what we do. Okay, but wait a minute. Sidebar. Michael, what is this with the cupcake?
What are you talking about?
Business?
Yeah, he runs a business called Big Mike's Bakery. It's delicious.
Where is he?
He's in Coral Springs. He's currently closed for COVID, but he'll be opening soon.
Okay, well, yeah, you'll keep me in touch with him. Anyway, I love a good cupcake. A man with cupcakes. Anyway, ladies, chime in.
Well, Janae said, yeah, black women definitely want the cool swag of Future, but the respect and money from Russell. Right. Most women don't truly want Russell. They think that his type is soft and lame and a pushover. I'm not that black woman anymore. Send me Russell any day. See, that's the problem, right? Yep. Most marriages are happening when you're younger, right? So when you get older, that's what I'm running into, being in my 30s, right? So obviously, the pool of women that I'm choosing from is in their late 20s, early 30s, because if you want to date for a while, get to know her, and then choose the mother of your children, that's not an easy decision to make, to be with someone for the rest of your life. And so I think that people have such unfortunate realities, right? Because you have to determine what your currency is, right? You see relationships and you'll see a woman keep a guy who maybe habitually cheats on her, or does some things that are wrong, right? And then on the outside, you're like, oh, she's dumb, she's stupid to do that. And I think that that's so wrong, because when we talk about currency in relationships, your currency might be that, right? So if someone marries for sex, then that's your currency. Is that currency going to be sustainable for you to keep that relationship forever? Maybe so. If your currency is trust, then you're cheating is a deal breaker, right? And so people from the outside looking in, is problematic, because you can't determine what someone else's currency is with their relationship. And that's why I never make comments on looking from the outside in. But when it comes to black women, as far as black women and black men are concerned, black men dating outside of their race and marrying outside of their race, as we saw with the Pew Research Center being one of the highest. Someone said, rephrase the Russells. Someone says, what you and Starks thought about NASCAR yesterday. Bubba Wallace is awesome. Emotional moment. Yeah, we'll get to that. But we were talking about interracial dating and the fact that is on the rise, specifically for black men. And so looking at the fact that black men date outside of their race higher than black women, we're talking about a huge gap where we saw that only 13% of black women are dating outside of their race with college degrees, where black men is over 24%. And so when we look at this, Anthony says black men and black women gravitate to the image of someone looking foreign. It's sad that the majority don't see black as an exotic race of people. We equate that with whiter skin colors and eyes. Someone says it's strange There are men who are super, Kanasha said, it's strange. There are men who are super attracted to complicated women. They chase those types. I've even witnessed men rather save a stripper than marry a teacher. Pretty women syndrome to the max. Some men are so used to problematic women that if you are kind, you must be a setup. I mean, I think a lot of nerds and a lot of, this is the problem, right? This is the problem with black male nerds, right? Black male nerds traditionally like women from the hood. Like we don't want the dignified Michelle Obama, right? You want Trina, like you don't want, and it's the same thing with black women. So that's beautiful in the sense that we are attracted to what we don't have or what we don't represent, because there is a level of self actualization even when you have the ability to save someone, right? And so that's
save a hoe,
but like I never did that. I never did that because I realized, especially with dancers and women who were in that profession, they have a lot of psychological problems. I mean, you have to have a lot of psychological problems to be on stage naked. And so at the end of the day, I think so. Kanasha said 2 groups that like going after trauma bonds. Yeah, I don't want trauma bonds. I don't want that. I want a black woman without trauma. Most Russell Wilson types don't like black women. That's not true. Hence, Russell married a white woman first. Not sure if he would have married Sierra if she wasn't a star. Also, the guys you speak of, the Russells, the nerds, generally don't engage with their black peers starting from grade school. They were the kids who hung around whites and Asians. They fantasize about Asian and white women. The futures, although they are not the best choice for mates, they love black women just as they are. No, they fetishize black women and they subjugate them and they treat them like shit. I disagree with everything that Nikki just said.
They are not the best choice, and they love black women just as we are.
Yeah,
feisty.
No, because the moment.
Did you see All American? Did you watch All American?
I don't know what that is.
All American is a 2-part, 2 seasons. It was a series. It was on the CW initially. That's why nobody saw that shit. But it's on Netflix right now, and it's done by Benny Boom. Directed it. And when I tell you, it is a great study in the topics that we're talking about. It is based in high school. But exactly what we're talking about is filtered through the entire thing. The running theme of it is, what happens when a man is not in a household. And you see that develop so many different ways through all of these characters. But it's really, really, really good. Did anybody see anybody over here watch All American? Thank you. I mean, yeah, it is. It's great, and it's set in a high school. I try to tell my kids it's like 90210, a black version of 90210. I don't know, but it's deeper, more introspective. I offer you all, while you all have some time, to watch that series. It's great, and to the point. This new group of kids is they're totally different because they came up with a common bond, and that's music. So I think what we're talking about is changing. That's been our experience, probably up to you, Star X, because anybody at like 30 and below, they're having a different experience than we did, I think, coming up when it comes to it is on All American is on Netflix right now. And season 1 and 2, listen, it's 26 episodes. I binge watched them in like 2 days. I sat in my bed one day for 9 hours and watched 9 episodes. It is just really, really, really good.
Yeah, so, I wouldn't watch that. I don't like shows like that.
You ain't even see the shit.
I'm listening to how you describe it. It sounds awful.
See, and that's why, you miss so much of the joy of life. And it's so fucking bitter.
I'm not. No, I'm not. And so that's another thing, right? Like, I think that most people, right? I look at my friends who are married and, they have wonderful relationships with Black women. Okay. And it's just such a beauty to watch. It's such a beauty to see these black babies, Black couple. I mean, I just love it. And I don't want people to think that I'm anti interracial dating. I don't want people to think that I'm anti any of that. I just see someone just said, I don't care for that show. Miss Gross. Good. No, Jill's praising that.
Like it. Where is she, Miss Gross?
Right here.
You pick out the one person. Sarita, why didn't you like it?
Because it's trash. And so, back to this, right? My premise was that a lot of folks, a lot of Black men.
I heard before the show is over. I swear to God.
You say what?
I said I'm gonna hurt your ass before this is over.
We said someone
said you don't know who in the shit. You like it's trash. That I just he's too close-minded for most sisters. He claims nobody likes his music, but he isn't open to watch a show he's never even seen before. Thank you. And
no, I heard the description of the show, and the fact I heard the description.
That doesn't mean, but you still don't know if you might have got something out of it that different than what I got. Do you know what I'm saying? If somebody, anyway, I can't. I'm not going there with you today.
I'll watch the show, but I think I'll watch the show. But the problem is that Addie judged me off of one singularity and caused that to be a comprehensive assessment of a person's existence, which is a big problem. So I can
imagine having that conversation. I'm sitting on the couch with you. We grooving and shit, and we had that conversation, and I'll be like, okay, this nigga, this ain't gonna work. You didn't even see the show. You just shut me down, shut down all that shit. You don't even give me the opportunity to say, well, I might check it out. No, she clicked off right on her head right there, be like, what time is it? I gotta get up. 10 minutes, she's gonna be like, woo, look at the time. It was nice. Thank you for dinner. Love you, mean it. Mwah. Bye-bye.
Anyway,
I think her car and block your ass.
I think Addie, if Addie is a woman, she hit it right on the dot. That's a big problem, that you see one example of something and then you attribute it to a comprehensive assessment of an individual. I never would do that. I would never do that. People show, huh?
You just did it.
Someone said it's 2 after-school special urban CW. That is exactly what I thought in my mind. Literally, when you described it, that's all I saw.
You didn't get, you know what? Both of y'all, if that's all you got from that, shame on you.
And have admitted that it's a sign of status for them. Okay, that was okay. Janae said, I thought everyone loved the Motown sound of the time, especially young people during that time.
That's that train of conversation.
Okay, Kanasha said, that's a great point. Sometimes it's not about Black culture issues like nerds versus bad boys. Sometimes people aren't being chosen because they don't realize they don't have personalities that people would want to do. Yep. And that Kanasha, you hit it right on the dot. I think a lot of people, someone said, Buff said, how can you call a whole show trash and you didn't even watch it? I think that people are like, once you describe something and you
know who Benny Boom is.
I listened to you describe the show.
Do you know who Benny Boom is?
Why is that relevant?
Because he directed it.
Why is that relevant?
Okay.
No, I'm asking why is that?
Find out who he is and then you'll know why it's relevant.
Okay, someone said, yes, they are terrible partners. However, they are the ones who show us interest. I was the girl who was in what we considered advanced classes. There would always be a couple small.
He froze. They wouldn't look my way, and I was a nerd just like them. They were cool friends, but they loved those white girls. However, the hood boys went above and beyond to get your attention. The story of my life.
So,
and young guys like 15 years younger than me, always like, even when I was 15. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I guess we all have like our thing, but young guys, young future-ish men seem to like smell me coming.
Well, I don't think that people so back to your show thing, Jill. If someone gives me someone said, yet at the same time, music integrated us.
That's Gordon. Yeah.
If someone gives me a synopsis of a show, right? And I say that show sounds like trash, I was wrong for saying the show is trash. I should have said the show sounds like trash and it's not something I would want to watch. Now, if I am presented an opportunity to watch the show and I'm just somewhere, I wouldn't watch it voluntarily, right? Nerds are so quick to say girls don't like me because I'm a nerd. And it's really, they have bad habits or not kind, not considerate, no romance, only personality trait is what superhero they are most like. I think that's a big stereotype. I think that's a huge stereotype, Kanasha. And nerd culture is the guy from Atlanta, right? Like he embodies Black nerd culture. I think that what I will say is that Black nerds that are men don't realize that they have to have certain standards that Black women require. And I know that. I know that well. And I am aware of that. And that's why I will find the Ben Carson equivalent to his wife. You know, Ben Carson is a Black man and found a Black woman. Let's just pull that couple up because he gives everyone hope.
I will just offer you all Ben Carson.
Ben Carson. Candy, her name is Candy Carson. And he found a Black woman that is, that's there for him. And that gives everybody hope. Look at this. There we go. Look at that. Look at this. Yeah, I don't know what happened to him over there, but, at the end of the day, he found someone just like him. And yeah.
Well, you should probably start going to the Republican conventions then.
So that is not what I'm saying. I'm simply stating that Ben Carson, being someone that is very different from what the average Black woman would stand for and like, he still was able to find a Black woman. So if Ben Carson can do it, anybody can do it. That's what I'm saying. Has nothing to do with me going to the Republican convention. Not all nerds. I'm just saying that the ones who complain about that, it's usually they don't have other standards and they hide behind nerddom. True. I agree, Kanasha. Mm-hmm. Janae said, no, it's not Starks. I've dated a lot of blurs and they were socially awkward, couldn't keep up conversation and wanted to speak about things we're interested in. I'm not saying that's all nerds, but what Kanasha said isn't false. All right. Someone said Ben Carson was pro-Black at one point before he turned on us. I don't think he was. I think he's always been that way. I don't know.
Read Anthony's.
Okay, Anthony said, Kanasha, nerds have a specific love language that isn't the norm or receptive enough for Black women to embrace. So someone said, my son is considered a Black nerd and most Black women think he's weird because of the way he dressed. He is into art and anime and speaks very well, so he is considered weird. So my thing is that I was into all of that and I wasn't popular. I was notorious. It's a big difference. And so because I was notorious, everyone knew who I was. They were like, oh, that Black kid, and so I think that the path for dating Black women, it wasn't hard for me. And all the Black women I dated were the complete opposite of me. They were athletes. They were dancers. They were not strippers, professional dancers, and women who had very different everything. And we had great conversations. We had great conversations because the last thing you want is someone to agree with everything that you say. And I actually love to have conversations about things that I don't agree with, right? And that's great. But what I will say is that that's the beauty about being Black. There's so many, someone, Kanasha said, for the average Black woman, but there are women who like that, and those nerds don't like them. I think people just need to accept that maybe who they qualify for they are rejecting. Interesting.
That is a very interesting point. Mm.
Most people do that. You know what I really hate, Kanasha? The guys that I talk to that are single and they want these dimes. They want these beautiful women and they're fucking terrible. I'm like, guys, like you're not gonna like
because they need her to make them whole.
You say what?
They need her, they need a trophy. That is the whole epitome of trophy wives.
Janae, yes, that is exactly what I did. That is exactly what I did. And the other thing is that when you date, it's important to keep your relationship to you until it's time to make that public, because that also especially if you're a public person, that can ruin your relationship. Someone said Black nerds want Trina, but wear anime buttons down to TNT and don't comb their hair. Someone said my son is a nerd, and what I made sure to ensure in him that he was surrounded by images of beautiful Black women. I made sure he knew science and hip hop. I introduced him to unapologetic Black authors and figures. He's still socially awkward, but he's one cool ass nerd that even the teachers knew he would be the next Malcolm, and he loves his sisters. Awesome. I mean, this is, but you got to have money or looks to get a trophy wife. Yes. One of the two. And Tanasha hit it right on the dot. She said, date people who want to date you.
That is hello, somebody. Hello. Not somebody you got to convince, cajole, or anything of the sort. Amen, Kanasha Paul. You get a gold star for the day.
So I mean, ultimately, what'd you say?
Scissor said, but you got to have money or looks to get a trophy wife. No, it depends on what the trophy means to you. A lot of times it's not like nothing to me is stronger than when you're in a relationship and you build it together, right? That you all meet each other at the same place. Not, you got to build her, she got to build you, whatever. No, like we're in the same space and we realize that we need, a partner that's going to, that's going to ride this next lap, 10, 20 laps. I'm going to ride this part and you push, and then you ride and I'll push. That's what you want. I mean, I think once you've dated enough, you realize neither one of those is sufficient. And if you don't have a partner that you respect first, and then, you love and you admire and, just makes you every time you think about them, you just like, you blessed. That's what as a woman, that's what I want. I don't need to fix nobody else. I don't need nobody fixing me. I need somebody to support me and say, you are my queen. And I say, you are my king. And let's do this. Those are the relationships. There's so many I can point to. You would see them someplace and you would never know. But it's just something about that energy between the two of them, that makes it all work. They got beautiful kids. They, y'all know people. I know you know people like that.
Like what?
That are in those kind of relationships where they really just complete each other, and you can tell.
Yes.
It's in everything that they do, and there's a certain calmness about them being together and being around them being together.
And that's exactly why I'm still single. I just recently stopped seeing someone because of that, right? And we're friends. Like all of my exes, we're always friends because it's always amicable, or it's done in a very mature, respectful manner. I think that when you talk about spending the rest of your life with someone, it's such a big, daunting task that people take lightly. And the last thing that I want is to end up like some of my other friends who were divorced at 35, divorced at 33. And that's so many years that you gave to someone for nothing. And I don't want to do that. All right. So Janae said, dating people who want to date you can be a harsh realization that you the person you thought you were. You want that Trina Sierra type, yet you keep
pulling Keisha from the corner store.
Kanasha said, if you don't like your dating pool, then that's a sign you might want to elevate something about yourself to change your prospects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's why I started this health initiative. You know, that's why I started this health initiative, because I love athletic women, and they're rare. Athletic women are rare, and you got to, athletic Black women are rare. What are you saying no for? It's true. Where do you see a Serena Williams just walking up the street?
Well, Serena is a god. I mean,
I understand that's athletic. Like that's it's rare. It's rare. You don't see a lot. I mean, that's a rare thing. So if you want an athletic woman, you need to be athletic, and it's hard to be athletic when you're a food writer.
Yeah, that part. You got a lot of contradiction of terms going on there.
Oh God. So definitely opposites attract, but at the end of the day, our conversation was really based on the interracial dating situation, and what is it rooted in, right? Especially when you find most of these Black entertainers and athletes that date interracially grew up in monogamous, very monotonous communities. Like, you grew up around all Black women, but then the moment that you got money and the moment that you left that community, you dated a white woman and you married a white woman. I don't think that that's just coincidental. I think that there is a pathology somewhere in there. And I don't think that pathology is going to be positive. I think it's rooted in self-hatred. I think it's rooted in them not valuing or seeing the beauty in the Black woman in themselves.
Andrew's right when she said, you want athletic women, go to I Can Fitness. Isn't that your cousin?
Rod's my cousin, yeah. And I Can Fitness is an incredible program. It's high intensity fitness, and my knees don't really like that type of working out. So I don't like that. I don't like jumping up and down.
One time for Chicago. Sorry. I have ADD. That happens.
What? I see a lot of athletic women where I live in Chicago. Okay, well, I'm always in Chicago, brother. So inbox me and I will drive up there. and you take me on a tour, because I'm always in Chicago.
Say on 84th and Sangamon and 21st in North Shore.
Someone said also, Janae said also, please be clear that the dating pool in South Florida is trash as fuck, and Black people in other states be cool as fucks. Hence, my boyfriend is now from New York City, and I constantly hop my ass on a flight to see him. I noticed I got more love and respect from Black men from other states.
Interesting.
Yeah. Kanasha said, HIT is so effective but horrible for my right. It is very effective. Roderick Transvant and Diedrich Harrington are some of the best trainers ever. And that high intensity training is really serious on your knees. You got to get your knees back, stretch every day. I'm trying, brother. I'm trying.
My knees are done.
So Anthony said tennis and gymnastics schoolings have them around white people. Serena Williams and Simone Biles both have white men. Simone Biles doesn't have a white guy. He's just light skinned.
I can't chime in on that.
There were too many beautiful Black women in my area that caught my attention. It's tough here in South Florida. It's tough in South Florida because you got to have money. If you don't have any money here, it's what are you doing?
Hey, Mackenzie.
What are you doing if you don't have any money? Because like South Florida is all about money. So at the end of the day, Jill, what are your thoughts on the reason that Black men are dating white women more than Black women are dating white men?
At the core,
yes.
I believe that Black women birth Black men, so we have a relationship, women period, because we give life, right? Like none of y'all would be here if it wasn't for us. And so there's a connection, I believe, that is like deeper than anything material and in anything. And I think that particularly in relationships, Black women period, let's just say that women period, will forgive a lot to support and be with a man that they love. Much more, we are the last to give up, right? And now it could be, it may take you a while to get to that point, some women, but some women come out the door with it. I think that we never want to settle, like I feel like I would just be bastardizing everything the 7 generations of women that I come from taught me, if I settled for less. And so that pursuit of finding that person that's just like, whoo, that's him right there, that's him. That I've only felt that once. And he cheated on me. So once, it takes a long time to get that out of your system. And so, but I have faith that once you like exercise yourself for all that stuff and what you need somebody else to bring to you, and you start to find that within yourself, then another piece of you opens up. That's really that soft, beautiful piece that man is looking for, because a man wants to be your comforter. He wants to be all of that for you. And if you show up like, nigga, I don't need you for shit, okay? But that, and I got toys for that. So now what? If you show up with that energy, it's always a fight. But once you start to, evolve in yourself, you'll see the men that start to show up get a little better. Men, I can't, I'm a woman. I have a vagina and titties. I can't even tell you what, what y'all go through, when y'all start picking. But I know for me, and, like I said, there was not a man born in my family in 7 generations. So I got all that female energy. I got Oshun and Yemaya. They all up in here. And so, yeah, that's what I think. I think that particular, and that goes for all women. I think it goes for all women. We have to kind of evolve. And that doesn't have an age limit on it.
Do you think that, one of the things I wanted to ask about this, some of my colleagues or friends that are in the inner city or in, urbanized areas. Mm-hmm. It's and then when you talk about people who that also happen to be undereducated or underemployed as well, mm-hmm. Their relationships, right? It was almost as cheating was a norm, it was so forgivable. But then my friends who were educated, and my God, and I do have one friend that unfortunately did cheat, and she left. I mean, she left immediately. It wasn't even like a conversation. It was just like gone. Why do you think that this is interesting now, right? So we see that Black men who have lower economic status, Black men who have lower education, tend to date and marry Black women, but incidents of infidelity are also higher in that bracket, as opposed to mm-hmm. Black men who are educated and Black men on a higher social economic status.
And why is that?
Why do you think that?
Because most of those Black men become boy toys very early in life.
Which one?
Though undereducated.
Okay.
And financially unsuccessful, like that's what that gets them to the table, to the bed or whatever, and their value is wrapped up in their sexuality in a way that a successful Black man's is not. I mean, for the most part, he's okay with, he's like, I'm spending my time doing a lot of shit, making a life for us. So, if you want to, perform some tricks or teach me a few things, I'm down with it. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, men who come from lower economic status, they kind of come up because of the magic stick.
So you think that the sexual prowess of undereducated, resourced, and financially insecure Black men is rooted in their sexual prowess, and that's how they stay in the, I guess, in the.
But that, that's a societal thing as well, that everybody knows the myth of the well-hung Black, stud. You know what I'm saying? And so that all Black men kind of carry that. Like Black men who don't have, big penises and can really lay it down, they're very, they're insecure about that a lot of times. And a lot of times they tend to be nerdy or wealthy, which is, I don't know if there's a correlation to that or not, but it's true. You know what I'm saying? But you find, Ray on the corner, just standing outside selling weed, and he slap it, flip it, rub it down. Oh, no. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That's interesting.
He was spending his time while the other one was in college doing what the hell he's supposed to be doing.
So do you think that Black men with small penises are overcompensating by being successful, smart, and wealthy?
No. I don't think they're overcompensating with that. I mean, I think they're leaning to the skill that they have. They don't. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to use that.
Gotcha.
That's what I think now. They could be like, I don't know if. I take that back, because women that have small breasts are not typically insecure because they have small breasts. Just like, women that have,
small asses.
Exactly. I don't, flat maybe, but Black women with flat asses got issues. But I don't think.
Why do you say that?
Why
do you say that?
Because that's one of those like this. It's the same thing with the men. Men, Black men are, purported to, have magic sticks, and Black women got that ass. There's that Hottentot woman is what, most people look for in a Black woman. And it's stereotypical, and a lot of times we fall into those stereotypes.
This is an interesting comment. He said, Ackerman said, I think when you have a low social economic status, you normalize a lot of things out of depravity, or the idea that I'll take whatever I can get. I agree with Bill too, that sexuality becomes a commodity when you don't have wealth. I think it applies to both sexes though.
I agree, Archman. Yeah, you're right.
Nikki said, I agree with Jill. Introduction to sex and dating too early shapes the mind of Black boys in an unhealthy way towards Black women. I agree with that. So true. You have educated cheaters and poor homeless sexuals that cheat too.
Homeless sexuals. That is the word of the day. What was her name? Homeless.
That was Zan Rena. Tanasha said, not true. Women who have flat breasts and ass have serious issues. It's the same with men who have small penis. You form a complex with anything that is praised. People want to be desired.
Right. That's what I was saying, Tanasha.
She said, Jill, that's so true. Women with flat ass are obsessed with getting a big ass. They can't have it. Mine makes my back hurt.
Right.
So I think that like
homeless sexuals.
Jill, you had a good point. You had a very good point in that. I never thought about that. The fact that first of all, the idea of big and small penises for guys is more a big deal for us than it is with women, because you find that when you do find a woman, you don't know who was having sex with her before you. You know what I'm saying? So you might think that your shit's normal or big or whatnot, but it might not be to her, because she might have had some guy that was whatever. Mm-hmm. And you can't think about that. Like you can't think about it, because if you do, then you start obsessing over it. And I think that like when it comes to Black women are very complicated. They are very complicated. And I think that with white women, when you get to that level, you kind of want no complications. And so because I'm complicated, I don't mind complications, you know? So it's a difference. You know, I know I'm complicated, so I'm not going to have a different standard for my spouse. Like if she's complicated, she's complicated. And I think being uncomplicated is boring, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Kanasha said, if only they knew big asses come with back pain.
Right.
Yes. The girls with big butts in school were targeted more. When the girl who still looks like a teenager was able to focus on her schoolwork.
Exactly.
But women glorify and ignore women who don't have an ass, so they would rather their backs hurt than to be ignored by a guy.
Yep.
I love my proportionate body. Julia said, wait a minute. These women with big back porch all don't make it. Never had a problem. Older now and still not having a problem. Just settled down.
Well, go back to that. No. Go back to the one right before Janae. Can you go back?
Wait a minute.
It was something in the middle there about, it was a little, anyway, you missed, I think we missed it. Damn.
Okay. Janae.
One line. There you go.
Janae said, small penises are really sad to look at, but if you know how to use it, you're good.
Exactly.
But I think that, women are so interesting because most women are emotional during sex, right? So it really determines, there's a lot. It's just a lot with them. Like they gotta be into you. They gotta be you. I've even had women like require me to say things. Like, it's just like,
okay.
Like it's a lot. It's a lot. Like it's a lot with women. They're very emotional. It's not like us where we just, once it's in, you're just going. Like women require a lot.
But see, that's right, because it's not just, and then, a lot of times y'all just think, I don't know, it's from watching porno or what, but you just think it's just that bam, 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 bam. That shit is painful and annoying after about a minute and a half.
This lady said, Layla said, many men with large penises are boring, poor lovers. They have nothing else to offer, while average men tend to be more interesting.
Thank you, Layla.
We're emotional because we're in taking the energy.
Thank you.
We have to stop abusing sex because then we are using each other. I'm a conservative and I'm classic in that sense. I can't have casual sex. I can't, I have to care about the woman that I'm with. I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I guess sex is not transactional. It's but anyway, men targeted women regardless of body type. When I was 17, 100 pounds.
Looking like I was 14.
Older men still were saying one more season.
Yep.
What does that even mean?
That means that, one more season, she's going to be ripe.
Jesus.
Are you surprised at the things that we have had to hear?
I just told you I was a nerd. I was a religious nerd too. That was very, and I didn't care, right? That wasn't my path. My path was not to be hypersexual and all that other stuff. That wasn't my path. When I gained this weight and my ass grew, my back started hurting more. I was like, take this back, Jesus. I legit want to lose 20 pounds and get rid of this.
Some of it, yeah.
She goes, me too. I can't do hookups like most people. I try. Yeah. And that's the thing, brother. There's a lot of black men who, like, people just think black men are the aggressors, that we're going to initiate, that we're going to be all crazy. Like, no, like I can't. You
want sex like a love song. Really, at the end of the day, you really do. There's so much more to it, and especially after if you've had somebody that was just, a banger, and then you have somebody that you just did the most. Like, okay, you could stay tonight. I'm saying you know the difference. It's like, okay, maybe that was not necessary, but I think you have to, select. Sorry if you don't know what mango season is.
I don't care, man. I don't listen.
We're gonna get him together.
Someone said I would have a better time in bed with the man who treats me right as opposed to an a-hole with a big prick. I feel like the good man deserves more in bed.
Amen.
One more season and they'll be right. I didn't know what that was. That's like old dirty old man.
It's right. It's
Jesus Christ. I've been targeted since I was 12 by grown men. If it weren't for my antennas being up and knowing they were pervs, I would have been out there young. Shake my head. It's a shame.
And Majesty, you see them all the time. You can almost you can look at a young girl's eyes and know where she's at sexually and what that experience has been for her. And interacting, doing a lot of work with inner city young girls. I have spent many a day in the bathroom just boo-hooing at the loss of innocence of these young girls.
The women in South Florida are just as aggressive as the men. I'm happily married, and most of these women don't get it.
And might come for you more.
The hardest thing in dating is figuring out which dude subscribes to what. As women, you're taught guys pursue. Then you hear or witness a guy your homegirl married who she made the initiation. Seems like there are no rules. Just hope while you're figuring out which is which, folks are patient. Not all men like casual sex, and not all women are prudes. Some women love sex and are frowned upon for liking it. Double standards on both sides. I get in trouble all the time. I don't want for my wife to have a large body count at all. I don't care.
You don't,
I don't want for my wife to have a large body count.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was about to say, anybody come to the well.
No, I don't want that. And that's the thing. I hate having these slut shaming conversations because as a man, you seem like you're an asshole because you're trying to police a woman's body. But, I'm just telling you, as a man and with a lot of male friends in the fraternity, men don't want a woman that's been having a lot of sex.
I think a lot of that, goes to the thought that she
said, why does the body count matter? Women lie about their body counts. Gotta find a girl willing to lie to you, Star X. Listen.
Like you my first man. You my first one, Star X. I don't want
Thank
that. You, Juju.
And so, like someone just said, let's get into it. She said, let's get into it. Let's talk. Okay. Okay. Now that you want to get into that, I just don't like people that can have transactional sex, because what happens is if you can have a lot of transactional sex, what the fuck is going to make you stop? I'm not going to trust you, because that means that you are not having sex for the right reasons, in the sense of being with someone that you love and you connect with, that you want to have children from and all that good stuff. And so if you now are a woman that just loves sex and you have all these partners, I just don't trust you. I would never trust you. I just wouldn't, and it wouldn't be something that I would want to marry. You just don't want that. Someone said exactly. Women lie about it all the time. You wouldn't know. Yeah, you would know. You would know. We're not dumb. We just seem dumb, but we're not dumb. Zan said, real women operate in high professions in society who publicly drag men, but are hyenas in the background. Depends on your version of too many. We all know what too many is. And if you have an exorbitant amount, right? If you have an exorbitant amount that you have to count, right? Hell, most men can't remember their body counts. That's not true. A lot of men lie about the partners that they have. Most men lie about that. They haven't had that. And the quality, right? That's another thing. The quality of women that you're having sex with. Yeah, I know some guys, they don't care. They don't care. As long as she has a vagina, they're going in. And, I just, whatever. Someone said, you will never know how many bodies a woman has had. It's no one's business. It's definitely my business if I'm having sex with you. Are you serious? You're right, Star X. Thank you. Janete, even if we don't lie, they won't.
They don't believe us. Thank you, Majesty.
Look, it's okay. You want that. Deal with the girl who moves like you want. Date on your. Thank you, Kanasha. Your reasons equal the right reasons? No, it equals the right reasons for me. I'm not telling anybody else to have my dogma. I'm not telling anybody else to have my philosophy. The queen said, let's get into it. So I got into it. I don't think that transactional sex for women is healthy. I don't think that is safe. I think that it creates a lot of emotional turmoil. It has a lot of negative impacts. And
So would you not marry somebody if you all got to that point and you're like, okay, so can we do our body counts? And she says, okay, 14. And you say, oh, 3. I can't marry you. Really?
I mean, I would just trust her less. I would trust her less.
That was before you showed up.
I'm sorry?
I said that was BS before Starix. She
Right.
was 14.
And so the thing is,
but she now with you, and she's like, you're it. Let's go, ride or die. And you're gonna be with her and be like, okay, well, who was number 9? Like, are you that dude?
Definitely not. No, I'm not, Joe. I promise you, I'm not. I just think that it's difficult, right? Because you want to marry someone that, for me, someone who doesn't necessarily just have sex to have sex. Like, I don't want to marry a woman like that. I just don't. If you have sex purely for pleasure, I don't want to be in a marriage like that.
But she might not have been having all that sex simply for pleasure.
Well,
she might have been. I mean,
she's 20 and she had 14 guys.
How old are you?
37.
Okay, so she's 37.
Well, that's not too bad.
Thank you. So
no, but I date younger, right? Because I don't date 30.
Right there. Why are you dating children?
I'm not dating children. I
date. Would you date a woman
29 to 33 because I want kids.
And a woman at 37 can't have kids? No,
it's just that it becomes higher risk when you're older.
Wow. So if you met a 37-year-old woman that was the one you want to marry and have kids with her, you'd be like, but George, that woman there's a little old. Maybe we should do a surrogate. Are you that dude? No, I'm not. And I don't like the fact that you're proposing postulates and then asking the question. Okay, but so when you say I'm only dating this, I date women up to this age, then I mean you're cutting off, I'm not cutting anything off. It's so sad that when a guy has a preference, he's nailed to the fucking cross. But when women have preferences, you can iron out your preferences and no one says anything. You didn't hear one woman on here talk about an age preference of who she dating. They have fucking preferences like crazy. Are you serious? Nobody on here said not over, like I want somebody between this age and this age. Okay. Louis Farrakhan said half your age plus 7. So I am going off Elijah Muhammad but I'm following any of his other practices. All of them. Okay. All right. You know that I try my best to be a righteous person. All I'm saying is that is the age range based off the fact that I waited a long time because I wanted to have a decent economic situation. I wanted to own my own home. I wanted to have certain things before I got to the idea of wanting to be married and have a kid and all that good stuff. And now I'm there. And that is that's not and you're right. So if I met a 38-year-old or 40-year-old woman that was amazing, no, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're too old for me. I wouldn't say that. That's okay. I'm just saying generally. Draw my statement. Yeah, no. Generally, and even with body types and all that other stuff, that's not something that's these a checkbox, right? But a lot of women, they have that, right? They have a fucking checkbox, and if you don't meet that box, they're moving on. So I've seen that tons of times. It's whenever guys say a preference, we get attacked. Man, because you're just so you all are just so specific about it sometimes. And then, the woman that is the exact opposite might walk up on you, behind you at going to get some food, and you turn around and it's her and she's 40. And you'd be like, someone said 49 having kids, amen. Yeah. Just someone said, but Elijah Muhammad was a thought. So of course he say some shit like that. Oh God. Yeah, he was. No, you're right. Elijah Muhammad was a very weird person. He waited she's older. They seem to have a great because she's athletic. Oh God, she can pop out those babies. I'm not convincing a man to women. Huh? surrogate to have that child. A
Oh, she
surrogate.
didn't have a baby?
No.
Oh, interesting. I'm not convincing a man to like black women plus women smart women, none of that. Just move. What a waste of energy. They need to add people to get their perspectives like Jill does on Hot Talk. I mean, who wants to be added to give their perspective? You, Queen, you want to be added? Are you a friend on Facebook? Let's see if she's a friend on Facebook, because we got 15 minutes. Not even. At East.
You got 3 minutes.
Yeah, I got a review today.
And I have a class.
I'm her friend. You want to be added?
Yeah, let's add Adicia to close.
We're gonna add you now.
She said, at 11 o'clock today.
All right, Queen. I'm sending you an inbox right now, and we're gonna add you.
Yo, this was good today, guys. This is really good. He was a pervert. Elijah liked him young.
Yeah, he was a pervert. Yeah, I that was a joke, guys. No one is actually following the teachings of that madman. He was out of his.
Because they coming now. I think he said, my ex used to be the nation. He cheated with an 18-year-old at 32.
Jesus.
They had a baby and got married. He did a stint in the pen, and within 6 months, she was pregnant from another dude. Sweet karma. I know that's right. God don't like ugly, and he ain't too particular about pretty. Thank you, Trevor. We love you too.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get upset because it seems there is nothing we can do to be chosen. Everyone wants to be chosen, and when Black women are constantly disrespected, it hits a nerve, girl. Yes, child.
Okay, Queen, you need to click the link, and then we can add you. You got to click the link, and you got to have your camera on.
And what I will throw in here, maybe we'll do it tomorrow, is why are Caribbean men such sexual animals? Where does that come from? I mean, the first time we discovered it, I think of most American Black women was, of course, she's Stella Got a Groove Back. And we all took our first trip to Jamaica, and everybody met Dexter. It might go back to what I said earlier about, men, particularly men who are, are not financially stable. It is a good way for them to make money. I know several guys in Jamaica who have.
Hello.
All right, Queen.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Wonderful. So you want to introduce yourself and okay, Starks is a slut shamer. I don't care. I'll wear that badge. I'll wear that badge honorably. Sluts need to be shamed. They need to be shamed. Oh my God. So, okay, Queen,
right,
what are your contributions?
Act like you even hear that
conversation.
What I would like to say is that I just wanted to get more feedback from you as far as like your standards, because a lot of the guys that are out here, especially Black men, do have a lot of standards. So I just wanted to get like more feedback on that, because I was kind of confused like as to what you were saying.
So someone said slut shaming. So what I'm saying is that coming from a religious background, we can be a bit judgmental, right? And we understand that. However, that is also a preference. If you prefer for your spouse and your wife to not have a large amount of men that she's had sex with throughout her life, that's your preference, and it is your business, because that's your wife. It's her body, but you're making the decision to be with that individual. As far as standards, I don't really have a lot of standards when it comes to personality. As far as like, I just need you to be cool, chill, not confrontational. And if you are confrontational, have that confrontation rooted in something constructive, right? So if you're confrontational or excitable, that should be something that's constructive and not something that's inconsequential, like battling me over, a radio dial, or losing your shit because, you fucking, I don't know, drink the last bit of wine or something, shit like that.
I just want to talk about your premise, though. You were saying that if a woman has a high body count, then you wouldn't necessarily deal with them. So
Oh no,
a
that's
lot
not
of us,
absolute. That's not an absolute. It's a preference, right? Preferences are amenable. You can change a preference, right? And that's the thing. It's just a preference. So I'm sure you in your life, you've dated men outside of your preference, and maybe it ended up really well, you know?
And that's what I wanted to touch on, because we as women, what we do is we settle, and we settle a lot as Black women because we see potential. So that might not necessarily work out, right? So then that may add to whatever account you may have. So that's why a lot of women don't disclose, because it's not successful. So from me looking at a Black man saying, oh, my preference is that a Black woman shouldn't have a high body count, what would be a high body count from your perspective as a Black man?
So that's Una, my sorority sister, Zeta, she put Starks, her number got you running from competition. Oh no, and so the thing is that I just growing up in a household where I had two sisters, and my sisters were taught to be very they were taught to be very conservative, and
Right.
they definitely, it was great that one of my sisters was a cheerleader at our high school, and it was great because my people in the school didn't have these stories about her, didn't have like she's sucking dick in the bathroom and she got bathroom and all, like that. All of that stuff. And so what I learned over the years, I had a situation where this is probably where it came from. I was dating this girl, and she was apparently someone who had fucked the whole football team, and they ran a train on her. I didn't know any of this, and so when they found out, I was the butt of everyone's jokes.
Right, everybody were talking like, okay,
and I was like, whoa, and I was mad at her because she didn't say anything. And so now someone put body counts, none of your business, but now that body count I got engulfed in that, right? I got engulfed in her body count, and it had a reproach on my reputation. And I was younger and I was ignorant. So of course now you can go, hey, you know what? I like you and I don't care what they're saying. But I was immature. And I don't I think that people, as they get older, things affect them in different ways. And so for me, that was just a bad situation that like reinforced my already preconceived notions of a virtuous woman and what a virtuous woman represents. And that's what I wanted. I wanted someone that I felt was virtuous and made decisions about having sex with someone based off the fact that they love that person, based off the fact that they want to be with that person. So when your body count is low, it demonstrates that you are selective. It demonstrates that you have constraint. It demonstrates that you are someone who has a sense of particular, standards. Because if your body count's high, that means that like it's very unlikely and non-plausible for you to just fall in love over and over and over with 17 people, 18 people, 20 people. Like, so that's where I come with that, and it's an unpopular opinion, but it's my preference, it's my belief. So someone says this goes back to men policing our bodies. What's your body count? And so the thing is that my I'm not policing Donnie, and that's for the woman that I'm with to have that answer, right? And that's for her to decide, not for you to ask. So I'm not asking anybody their body count. I'm talking about when you're in a relationship, and I'm not policing anyone's body. It's my fucking preference. It doesn't. Right. If you don't care, then get out. I don't understand. Someone said, "Oh my God, Stars, you're almost 40. Let that body count go." No, I'm trying to deal with some of the comments.
I think the reason why they're saying a lot of that is because before, when you initially first said it, it was like, whoa, like, what is he talking about? You didn't really give a deep explanation as to like why you had that preference. So that's why I wanted to get on here and ask, like, what would be like a deal breaker for you? What would be a high body count? But you kind of threw out a number, so.
Yeah, so she goes, Janae says, Starks, you were talking about some shit from high school. Grown men will never say some shit like that to your face today. If they do, they're dickheads. And why do you want to be friends or cool with them?
You're right. An experience you had. I don't think that's necessarily like paving what you're saying now. And I'm not being a Me Too person, like, oh my God, yes, that's what he's saying. But I think that was an experience you had. That's like an analogy that you were saying, like, as far as you didn't know, but you were walking around and this person didn't disclose like what they did, but
No.
everyone else was telling you.
No, someone said, who are you to say who's fallen in love how many times? I'm nobody to say. I just said it's not plausible. I think that love in and of itself is something that is not easily going. I mean, if that is the case, right, then that person is someone that I would not want to marry, because then you can easily fall out of love and fall in love with someone else if you have a high frequency of falling in love that quickly, right? It's just about being plausible. Like, I'm not being. Someone said, don't worry, Stark. Somebody else will wife the whore. Whores.
I wouldn't say necessarily that they're
It
whores.
says whores always whores
always get married before the good girls.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's an interesting perspective. I don't think that they're necessarily whores.
I'm not cursing at you, Majesty. I'm not. Please don't do that. This show, you know how we talk. Don't do that. Please don't do that. If you want me, I mean, come on now. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Queen.
Nerds have low body counts? No, they don't. I'm sorry. From a woman.
No, I don't think nerds have low body counts. I think they have high body counts because they're indiscriminate. Because most of them are so pathetic that they get whatever comes around, and they'll have a high body count because their quality and their standards are low.
Yeah, that's what you were saying earlier. So I definitely agree with that.
Someone said, actually, most men think the same way Starks feels, but don't say it out loud in fear. And listen, and Andre, you're right. They do. They really do. So many, Donnie says, so what happens when this virtuous woman can't sexually satisfy you? Bet you hire a whore then. Jesus Christ, Donnie. First of all, sex is very, very emotional, and it's something that's personal. And I think that people, when you're in love, that satisfaction is going to come. If you now are someone that's not in love and they're not satisfying you, and you can't have that conversation, then I think there's something wrong with you. You know, I'm not gonna. You know, you don't need a whore or a prostitute, or a sex worker to get your rocks off. Like, what?
Wow.
She say that. Okay, hold on. The comments are coming in very quickly. Kanasha said, men want low body count, but want women who are good in bed, yet aren't willing to teach. I think most women teach men and not the other way around.
No, I don't think so.
You don't?
I mean, from my perspective, no. Men want that, exactly what she said, but they're not willing to teach. They expect you to know automatically off the top. And then they don't want you to be like the person that had that experience before. So it's kind of like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you don't want that, but then you want me to be good in bed. Like, how is that supposed to happen?
She said, Stark's getting emotional about the 90s. This is why we can't find dudes, because they still hurt from high school. Y'all soft.
Canella, a lot of people are still hurt from high school. We have experience that kind of mold the way we date. Not everybody, we learn from it, but I mean, we can't nail him to the cross for that.
I mean, I think Una is right in the sense of saying that, I mean, being soft is a good thing, right? Because we're not in jail. I don't need to be hard. I'm not in the fucking jungle. So when it comes, I'm not building a house out of it. And it's just so crazy. Like that notion of like, I don't give a fuck about what people think about what I feel. That's what I fucking feel. So at the end of the day, that's my preference, and I don't give a fuck what you think about it. Someone said teaching men is part of the problem. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, we do need to teach that's what I kind of posted something earlier when you guys were talking. We do need to teach because there's a topic that has not been discussed. Is in the Black households, a lot of the young women are molded to be independent, to be loving, to cook, to clean. But I have a brother who's a nerd also, so it's kind of correlation to what we're talking about, who is still 24, who's still in the household. But when I was like going to be 18, I was molded to, okay, when you're 18, you need to go to college, you need to be independent, you need to be this, you need to be that. But we're not instilling that same thing in Black, not all Black men, but Black men as a whole. Like how to love a woman properly.
I mean, I think
taboo.
you don't have black fathers teaching it, right? So a black woman,
Exactly.
it's very hard for a black woman to teach a black man how to love a black woman because she can only speak for herself. And I think Diemo said it best. He said, not that men teach women sex, a real woman teaches you how she wants to be loved. And that's so important because it's just an insertion for us. You know,
Mhm.
a woman, she's receiving it. She's receiving the energy. She's receiving everything. So she has to make more of a, hey, like, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. I mean, you know, and that comes with having a really great friendship with your spouse and not having transactional sex. If you walk around having transactional sex, you're not going to have partners that really love you in the way that you want to be loved because they don't give a fuck because they just want to get their rocks off it. That's what's going to happen. Like, you're a transaction. And I don't understand how people don't want to have that conversation because in one space you're saying, don't slut shame, but in the other space you're saying, well, I need to be treated in this manner that is virtuous, right? Like, it's hard. Like, what do you want?
I wouldn't say that. I would say, not to cut you off, but I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that, like, a lot of men want you not to be what you're saying, like, not have a high body count, right? But they have, like, not take you out of the whole perspective. A lot of men do have high body counts, right? But they don't want the woman to be out there having transactional sex. Let's just talk about the fact that it does happen. It's not something that does not happen. Women do have sex. They have transactional sex. The pool right now for dating is really not that great. So, I mean, what are women doing? Standing still, not having sex? It's happening.
I mean, like I said, that's my preference. I don't know what everybody else. Someone said, I kind of disagree. Men claim they don't want women with large body counts, but constantly turning holes into housewives. I don't believe dudes want to say some, not most. Well, I'm the some. Should women whom may have dealt with rape or sex trafficking but have healed? I can't answer that. It seems you're not able to accept that someone can be single, acting one way, and then be an adult and be a married, committed woman. This is definitely about trust issues, like you said. Look at someone for who they are now and who they are growing to be. I love that, Erica, and you're absolutely right. And you're absolutely right. Donnie, who is on this other white woman thing right now, Starks, you are giving men way too much credit sexually. Have we discussed the fragile male ego, toxic First of all, toxic masculinity was created by a gay man, and I'm not going to have a conversation about a term that was used to degrade really black men by this man that came with that term. So I don't even know what toxic masculinity is unless you have a term called toxic femininity, whatever. And how do I know what I like if I haven't sampled the buffet? I mean, that's, you know, Donnie, you're coming from a place of hedonism. You sound like a hedonist. And so sampling the buffet and all this stuff you're talking about. So, okay, we got a lot of comments. I'm sorry, Queen. If we are in a relationship, then I'll teach you how to satisfy me, and I expect the same from you. However, if we are just hooking up and you don't bring it, then that's on you. And Queen, you're right. And I am against the hookup. I think that that's problematic. I think that that's very problematic. Kanasha said, when women know what they want in bed, men automatically assume this learning has to come from sleeping around. It's like having awareness of your desires always means sleeping around. It's a paradox. Very true. So anyway.
Yeah.
Queen, thank you.
Wow, from one comment.
Go ahead.
Well, thanks for giving your perspective.
No. I mean, Jill hopped off the show. Here comes Donnie again. I'm coming from a place of being happily married and sexually satisfied for over 12 years. I also bring my education and over hundreds of couples with me. But what do I know? I sell shea butter, and you do an awesome job at selling that shea butter. And so, Donnie, what we'll do, we'll have you on. I forgot you were a relationship expert. We'll have you on tomorrow if you're available, and we'll do.
Oh, yes, I'll definitely tune into that one.
We'll do a part 2 to this, Queen. I actually have to go through a review.
Okay.
Queen, thank you for hopping on. I appreciate your insight.
Not a problem.
And everyone else, you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in about an hour at Cote Gourmet over in Miami Shores, which is amazing. Someone said, "Hey, toxic masculinity is an actual term in the social sciences," and we'll talk about that tomorrow. So, guys, you have a good day, and I hope you guys enjoy the show.